So welcome back to my YouTube channel, guys. And the ASC TimeTables have released a new version of 2023, and that's what we shall be looking at in this particular video. The video will be very deep. It will highlight all the critical aspects of the new version of the ASC timetable. So ASC timetable, as you can see, it is one of the best timetable developing softwares across the world, being used in 173 countries, being used again in 150,000 schools. So the installation process is very simple. You can download the version from their official site, where you first key in the name of your country, and then you click the download option, and then you'll be given an option to download. You can get both versions for the Mac operating system as well as for the Windows. The system also comes with different languages, so in this given particular sector you can choose the language of your choice. So without wasting much time, let's now get to the software. As I've said, this is the best timetable generating software, and as you can see from this end, it is the latest version, that is version 2023. So to start this tutorial, we are going to create a new file by clicking this part here, and this will help us now understand various parts of this particular system and how it operates. And as I've said, kindly before we proceed, consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. So we click new, and now we're going to have this wizard where we're going to put the name of our school. So we are going to name our school, and we are going to call our school Blue Ribbon. Blue, let me put that in caps. Blue Ribbon Elite School. So that will be the name of our school, or this is the very first part that you get once you open that particular area. And then I'll choose this to be my academic year, and for the periods per day, this refers to the number of lessons that you want the system to develop for you. So for me, I'm going to choose 9. So I'm going to have 9 periods per day, and then I want to click yes. So after doing that, the next part that we're going to focus on is, no, that part is not important. The next part that we're going to look at now is generating the periods for our timetable. So I want to save this file to make sure that it is secure and I won't lose it. So I'm going to save it in my documents, and then I'll name it Blue Ribbon. So that will make sure that my file is secure. If anything happens, I won't lose my data. So let's now get back to the start button. And now we click the blue ribbon, the file that we already have here. So as we had done earlier, we are now going to input the specifications of our school. So we have the name there, and then we have the academic year, and then we have our periods being 9. So the next thing we are going to do is now to have the bell times and rename the periods. So this is the most critical part of our timetable. Once we're done with this, we will be able to generate the timetable without problems. We're going to start with this first session. Our classes will always start at 8:10, so we are going to edit this area. So the first lesson will start from 8:10 all the way to 8:40, 8:10 to 8:40, and then our next lesson will start from, so this one is 30 minutes, that's not correct. Maybe we can work with 8:50. 40 minutes will be okay for our lesson, so 8:50 is okay. And then the second lesson will pick up from 8:50. The second lesson will pick from 8:50 to 9:30, 8:50 to 9:30. That should be our second lesson, and then after this lesson we shall have a break of around 10 minutes. So that means that our next lesson will not start at 9:30, but will start at 9:40. The next lesson will start from 9:40. So I'm going to input here 9:40, and now this again will take 40 minutes, so it will end at 10:20. It will end at 10:20, and then I click OK. So the next lesson will pick from 10:20. The next lesson will pick from 10:20 all the way to 11 sharp. So that's again is 40 minutes. So our lessons are for 40 minutes, and then after that we shall have a second break from 11 sharp to 11:30. So our next lesson will not start from 11 sharp, but we start from 11:30. So I'm going to have 11 and then 30, and then after that this lesson will end at 12:10. Remember, our lessons have a duration of just 40 minutes, and then the next lesson after that will of course pick from 12:10. That lesson will pick from 12:10 to 12:50. So I'm going to have my 12:50 here, 12:50, and then I'm gonna click save. So after that we're going to have our lunch session, which will be from 12:40 all the way to 1:30, and then we're going to have a break of around 30 minutes before the next lesson. So the next lesson will start at 14 sharp. The next lesson will start from 14 sharp all the way to 14:40. 14 sharp all the way to 14:40, and then I click save. And then after that we're going to have another lesson from 14:40, picking from 14:40 all the way to 15:20, and then I save. And then our last lesson will be from 15:20. Our last lesson will be from 15:20 all the way to 16 sharp, and then I want to save that. So having done that, that will be a good work. We have already impacted our sessions, and now the next part that we're going to do is to input the breaks. The breaks of course will be printed between the lessons, as we can see from this particular area. So as you said, our first break will be between 9:30 to 9:40. So our break will be a break of just 10 minutes, and then now we can click here and see where we can position the break. So the name of the break will be short break. So let me name it short break, and then the short form I'll also still use the same words, short break. And then the position of the break will be before lesson 3. Let me see, exactly before lesson 3. And now the system will automatically fit the break for you, and then maybe we can put it here for printout purposes. Short break, again you can just type here short break, and then click OK. So you can see our break has been fitted automatically, and now our next break shall be from 11 sharp to 11:30. So that is after the 4th lesson and before the 5th lesson. So we can add that right here and name it long break. So we are going to call that break long break. So again we can feed that there, long break, and then we can position the break before the 5th lesson, I guess. Good. That is from 11 sharp all the way to 11:30, and then the text for printout will be long break, and then I click save. And now our last break will be the lunch break. That is between 12:50 and 1:30. 12:50 and 1:30. So that will be, sorry for that, so that will be before the 7th lesson. So we can click there and then enter the break here. So this is the lunch break, and then you have the same name here, lunch break. So we have said before the 7th. We can always check. Yes, before the 7th. And now that will be from 12:50, but now we're going to make an adjustment here to 1:30 or 13:30 hours. And then the text for printouts will be lunch break. And then after that, I want to save. Okay, at least now you can see how our breaks are positioned, and having done this, we are good to go. This is the most crucial part of this timetable, because it is not possible for you to obtain a timetable or to generate a timetable using this software without having keyed in different time sessions for different subjects as well as the breaks. And now I'm gonna click OK, and my information will be saved. So the next part that we're going to look at now, having finished up the most critical part, is now the specifications button. So everything else will lie around on this particular area. So we are done with the first area, that is school, where we have entered all the information that we can see here. Remember, this part will remain intact. The number of days, of course, we have 5 days in a week, excluding the weekend. So in my case, I've decided to make my weekend to be Saturday and Sunday. So you can always change this to fit what you want. Well, this is for us Christians. This is what we consider as a holiday. For the Hebrews, so you can consider Friday to Saturday, and for the Arabians, from Thursday to Friday, according to you. So I'm okay with Saturday and Sunday. So that will be my weekend. So I'm gonna click OK, and we're done with that area. So the next most critical part is the subjects. So this is where we're going to input our subjects, all the subjects involved. So in my case, I'm going to have 11 subjects. I'm making this video from Kenya. So in Kenya, we always have 11 subjects in high school. So my first subject will be mathematics. Mathematics will be my first subject, and then the abbreviation will be maths. So I can use just that word the way it is, and then click OK. And my second subject will be English. My second subject is English. Sorry for the spelling. English, and then I'll click OK. My third subject will be Kiswahili. Kiswahili will be the other subject, and then the abbreviation will be KSW. So for the English, maybe I can change this one. I can edit this one to have ENG. That's enough, the short form. And then the other subject that I'm going to add here, I'm going to add physics as one of the subjects being taught in my country. So physics, and then I'm going to click OK. And then the other subject is chemistry, and then I'm going to use abbreviation chem and click OK. The other subject will be biology, biology, and then I'm going to use abbreviation bio, and then click OK. The next one shall be the Christian religious education, Christian religious education, and I'm going to use the short form CRE. That's okay. The next subject shall be history and government, history and government. So the abbreviation in this case, I'll just use HIST, history. And then the next subject shall be business studies, and my abbreviation or short form will be BST, and then click OK. The other one will be agriculture, and then my short form will be Algri. Then I want to click OK. I don't know how many subjects you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the missing subject is geography. And I want to name my geography. The short form of geography will be geo, and then I'm good to go. So I've already listed all the number of subjects that I want. So these are the subjects that I'm going to deal with. Remember, you're not limited. You can add as many as possible. So I've decided to work with just 11 subjects, and then I'm going to close that button and my information will be saved. So let's now get to the next button, the classes. So in my case, I'm only going to have 4 classes. I'm going to have 4 classes being taught those subjects that I've listed. So the first one will be Form 1. Form 1 will be my first class. And then click OK. And then the other one will be Form 2. The next class shall be Form 2. And then click OK. The next class shall be Form 3. Form 3. That's okay. And my last class will be Form 4. Form 4. So as I said, I'm making a timetable for the high school. So for the primary school teachers, you can add as many classes as possible. That is from the likes of PP1, PP2, grade 1, all the way to the grade being offered in your country. And then click close. So my information as usual will be saved. So once I'm done with this class button, I'm going to move to the next class. To the next button. And the next button is classroom. So this happens that if you have some sessions being taken in different rooms, or so some classes being taken in different rooms, you can always add this particular session. So maybe in my case, I'm just going to add one, laboratory, for the sciences. So you can have some sessions being taken in the lab, and I'm going to use the short form lab, or else also I can add another one. Maybe I can have the optionals for those who are taking optional subjects, optionals. And then my short form will be OPT, and then I want to click save just for illustration. So you can add as many as possible, you are not limited. And then click OK. And then the last section, these are you having the teachers now taking the students in different subjects, the teachers taking the students in different subjects. So in this case, I'm going to add around roughly at least 12. So maybe I can work with 15 teachers. So I'll be guessing their names. So starting with my own name, I'm going to call myself Mr. David. And then my short name will be MD. Of course, I'm male. So you can fill all this other information if need be. And if you feel that they're not important, you can just leave them the way they are. So but for this given session here, it is always good to fill them. Maybe you can decide to work with your 2 names. That is, maybe if you're David something, you write the first name here and then the second name here. But I'm okay with the first name only. So this one, we're going to do it this way, and then click OK. So I'm not going to add the lessons for now. I'm going to add the next teacher. The next teacher will be Mr. Maina, and the abbreviation will be, or the short form of Mr. Maina will be MM. And then the next one, I'm going to add Miss Alice, and then the abbreviation will be MA, and then click OK. And then the next teacher that I'm going to add is Miss Janet, and then I want to click OK and close that. And then the other teacher that I'm going to add Mr. Ken, and then I want to save that. Sorry, before we save, let's have the abbreviation MK, and then I want to save that. and then the next teacher will be a teacher who taught me physics. His name is Mr. Courier back in high school, so I may consider to add his name, and the abbreviation maybe might be MKK. Then I'll save that. The next name or the next teacher will be Miss Njoroge, and then I'll save this information. But before I save, the short form will be MNJ, and then I want to save that, and then I want to move on and add the next teacher as Mr. Kirui, and then the abbreviation will be MKR, and then click OK, and then close that particular button and move on with the next teacher. I'm going to consider Mr. Flavian, or maybe we can work with, don't know whether we have maybe we can work with Miss Flavian, that's okay. So the abbreviation will be MF, and then click OK, and the next teacher will be Mr. Florian, and the abbreviation will be MFF or MFL. That's okay. So how so far, let me count the number of the teachers that I have. These are 11, so I have to add 4 more. So the next teacher will be Mrs. Nelly. I'm going to work with Mrs. Nelly, and then the abbreviation will be MN, and then click OK and save that information. And now the next teacher that I'm going to add is Mrs. Sharon. I'm going to work with Mrs. Sharon, so the abbreviation in this case will be MS. Click OK, and then my last teacher, let me add the last one, will be Mrs. Muikali. Mrs. Muikali will be my last teacher, and the abbreviation shall be ML, Muikali, and then click OK. So having done that, guys, so the next step that we're going to take, remember we have worked with all the crucial buttons, we have worked with all the critical buttons, we have worked with the first button of teachers, the school, we have worked the second button of the subjects, we have worked with the second button of the classes, we have worked with the other button of the classrooms, and finally we have worked with the last button of teachers. We now want to add the teachers or the lessons, which lessons will be taught by which teacher. So we start with Mr. David, and then we are going to click this area here. So Mr. David will be taking us in physics. Mr. David will be taking us in physics. That's what I like teaching, by the way. So I'm gonna choose the subject, or else we can work with them as they are alphabetically to avoid the confusion. Let me just pick mathematics, and then I'll be taking Form 1 in mathematics. So the number of lessons per week, maybe I can work with 6. Remember, you can add as many as you want. Of course, if you add an unreasonable number, the timetable will not be able to, the software will not be able to give you the best timetable. So let me just choose 6, 1 double, or even 5. I'll be okay with that for just explanation for purposes, and then click OK. So that's Form 1, and then I'll also take mathematics in the next form, or in the next class. In the next class is Form 2. In this case, I'm going to have 5, and then click OK. So I'm going to add another one, mathematics. So class in this time around Form 3, and I decide to work with 4. And then I'm going to add another lesson. So in this case, I'm still going to pick the same subject, a different class, this time around Form 4. And now the class, the number of lessons in a week, I'm going to work with 5, and click OK. So I'm done with Mr. David and his mathematics. So I'm going to click close, and my information will be saved. The next is Mr. Maina. So we're going to add the number of lessons. Mr. Maina will be taking us in the second subject is English. So I'm going to pick Form 1 and give him around 5 lessons, then click OK. And then the next subject will be, the next form will be Form 2, the same subject. In this case, let me work with 4. And then another lesson that Mr. Mine will be taking us through, same English, Form 3, this time round. Let's have 5 lessons in a week. And then the next class is, of course, Form 4, the same subject. Form 4, the same subject. The number of lessons this time around, let's work with 5. And then we click OK. So we are done with Mr. Maina and Mr. David. Remember the number of counts, of course, you can see them that they are saved here. We work with Miss Alice. Miss Alice will be taking us in the next subject. And the next subject after English and Maths is Kiswahili. Kiswahili Form 1, we give them 5 sessions and then we click OK. And no, so we shouldn't close that. So let's continue. So the same subject, but now again a different class. So in this case, Form 2, we give them 4. 4 will be OK, and then we click Save. Next is the Form 3 class, the same subject, Kiswahili. Form 3, we can give her 5 lessons and then click OK. And the last class will be Form 4, the same subject, number of lessons, we reduce them to 4. Then we click OK. So we can close that and move on to the next teacher. Lessons. So we give Miss Janet lessons. So Miss Janet will be taking us in physics. So Form 1 class. So we can have 4 sessions in a week. And then we add another one. So we have the same physics, but the number of lessons, a different class. In this case, working with Form 2, number of lessons, we can give her 4. And then we add another lesson. So in this case, we are working with the same physics. So we're adding a different class, not another lesson. And the number of sessions, we can still have to work with 4. The last class to consider is Form 4 class. Form 4 class, number of sessions, still 4. Then we click OK. And then we click Close. Next is Mr. Ken. Mr. Ken will be taking us in the next subject, that is chemistry. Form 1, we can give them 3 sessions or else 4 sessions in a week. And then the next form is Form 2. Let's work with 5 lessons. And then the next class will be Form 3, the same subject, chemistry. Number of lessons in a week, let's work with 3. We click OK. The next form will be the last one, that is Form 4, the same subject, chemistry, and the number of sessions, we'll give them 5. And then click OK. So we are done with Mr. Ken. We can close that. And now head to the next teacher, Mr. Kuria. Mr. Kuria will be taking us in the next subject after chemistry. The next subject after chemistry is biology. So Form 1, we can give them 3 or 4 sessions. Let's work with 4. And then the next class will be Form 2, the same subject, biology. Number of lessons in a week, we work with 4. And then click OK. And then the next class to consider is Form 3, and then subject, same, biology. This time around we work with 5 lessons in a week. And then the next form, not chemistry but biology, the next form is Form 4, number of lessons, we work with 4, and then click OK. So we have all the 4 classes here, and then we have the count, and then we have the length of the lessons, and then we click Close. So we get to Mr. or Mrs. Njoroge. Mrs. Njoroge will be taking us in Christian religious education, that is CRE. And then Form 1 will have 4 sessions in a week. Click OK. And then the same subject, but now different class. Number of lessons, we work with 4. Click OK. And then the same teacher, same subject but different class. This time round, Form 3, number of lessons we work with 4, and then we click OK. And lastly, we have our last class, Form 4, the same subject, number of lessons we work with 4, and then click OK. So we are done with Mrs. Njoroge, so we can close that wizard. So we get to Mr. Kirui. Mr. Kirui will be taking us in the next subject after Christian and religious education, that is history and government. Form 1, we are going to have how many sessions? Let's work with 4. And then click OK. We move on to the next subject, the next form shall be Form 2, number of lessons. We're going to work with 4 again, and then we click OK. And then the same subject, that is history and government, a different form. This time around, Form 3, number of lessons in a week. We can work with 5, and then click OK. And then the last form will be Form 4, and the number of lessons we can work with 4, and then click OK. So I'm gonna close this one and move on to the next teacher, Miss Flavian. So Miss Flavian will be taking us in the next subject after history and government, that is business studies. So we are going to give Form 1 4 lessons in a week, and then the next lesson shall be the same subject, a different form, number of lessons we work with 4. And then after that, the same subject, business studies, a different class, Form 3, number of lessons 5 in a week. Okay. And lastly, we work with the same subject now in Form 4, and the number of lessons we work with 5, and then we click OK, and we save that information. So we get to Mr. Florian. Mr. Florian will be taking us in the next subject after business, that is agriculture. In Form 1, they'll have 4 lessons in a week. We click OK. Another one, the same subject, agriculture, now different class, Form 2. We're going to give them 5 lessons in a week, and then click OK. And then the next form will be Form 3, the same lesson, agriculture, number of lessons, let's give them 5, and then click OK. And lastly, the remaining class is Form 4, the subject is the same subject, agriculture, number of lessons, can give them 5, and then click OK. So we're done with agriculture. We move on to the next teacher, that is Madam Nelly. So we're going to give her which subject? The remaining is geography. So in this case, we're going to have Form 1 taking 4 lessons in a week. Okay. And then we can have the same subject, geography, Form 2 taking 3 lessons in a week. Okay. And then lesson 3, the next form is Form 3, number of lessons, we work with 5, and then click OK. And the last form, or the last class is Form 4, the same subject, and then number of lessons we can have 4 in a week, and then we click OK, and then close. So you have noted that we have teachers remaining here, so we can distribute some of the subjects from the first 2 teachers, that is Mr. David and Mr. Minor, to these teachers here, so that we can try to balance. So Mr. David was taking us in maths, so we're going to reduce the number of lessons here for him. So we're going to reduce the maths. Maybe we are going to relieve Mr. David maths, so we can remove this one, maths Form 1, and maths Form 4. So we can remove those ones, so that now we can have them for Mrs. Sharon. Miss Sharon now to take maths Form 1 and Form 4. So maths Form 1, we give her 5 lessons. Okay. And then the same subject, maths, and then Form 4 this time round, and 5 lessons, and then we click OK. So that's okay. So again, we balance for Mr. Maina. Mr. Maina is taking us in English, so we can relieve her from 3. We can relieve her from 3, so we can remove that. We can relieve English from 3 and close, and now add it to Miss Mikali. So we choose English. Form is form 3. From 3 lessons per week, we can work with 6 for her, and then we click OK. And now we still have some teachers here who are overloaded. Maybe we can help Madam. We can relieve who? We can relieve this teacher, Mr. Florian, who is taking us in agriculture. Maybe we can relieve her, or we can adjust this one for her to teach just a single, or we can remove the whole of it, agriculture, 5 lessons. So we remove that. And then we add it to this teacher, Miss Mikali, agriculture. I don't know which subject have we removed. Let us check. We have relieved which teacher? I think this one. No. That one. No. Again, Miss Jorage. No. So which teacher have we relieved? Maybe Miss Janet. Not Janet. Oh, I'm forgetting. Mrs. Nelly. Not Mrs. Nelly. Yeah, it is this one. Agriculture. Mr. Florian. Agriculture form 4. So that's what we're going to add to this teacher. Agriculture form 4. So agriculture. So we choose agriculture, and then class form 4, number of lessons we can give Mrs. Mikali 5. So we are okay to go. So we have distributed various subjects to various teachers, and I believe now we are good to go. So the only thing that we're going to do is to save. So to save, I've saved that particular information, and after doing that, at least now you can see how my timetable will look like. I have form 1, form 2, form 3, form 4, and then I have the number of weeks or the days of the week. I have Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I don't know whether we'll be able to see the how the timetable. Yeah, this is how the timetable will look like. Very nice. So we have our first lesson, we have our second lesson, we have our short break here, we have our third lesson, fourth lesson, long break, fifth lesson, sixth lesson, lunch break, and then we have 3 more lessons after lunch. So this is how our timetable will look like. So this is how the timetable will look like. Remember, you can see for the next form if you click that button. Form 2, and then form 3 is next, and form 4 is next. Now the next task that we're going to do is now see how we can now generate the timetable. So we have keyed in all the crucial information that is required for generation of this timetable, and now the next thing is to ask ourselves, how are we now going to get the timetable in a printable form? How are we going to get the timetable in a printable form? So we are going to instruct this system to generate the timetable for us. So the system will generate the timetable for us, and we are going to see how our timetable will look like. So this is the button here, but we can always first test the timetable and see whether we have some issues, and see how the timetable will be. So we can see that from this one we're being told that there's no need to generate the timetable because class form 1 has more lessons, 47, then free positions in time of 45, and then English form 3 more times per week. So we can reduce the number of lessons in this class. So that is for form 1. Maybe you can check how the timetable will generate the timetable. So how the system will generate the timetable. So we can see from this part here we have more we have more. There are some classes with more lessons, like for example this one, Form 3 has around 51 lessons, Form 1 has 47, and then Form 3 has 51. So maybe we can try to reduce some here. Maybe we can reduce this one to 1, to maybe we can remove 1 to have 4, and then click OK. Then we can remove this one. You can work with 4 in a week. Sorry, I've put 3. We should have 4, and then click OK. And then we can also remove this one. We can reduce this one to 4. That will be okay. And then we click close, and then work with Form 3, which has very many classes. So we can reduce this one. We can reduce that one to 5, and then click OK. So we can reduce this one. These are too many, so we can have them as 4. And then we can also work with this one. We reduce it to 4, then click OK, and then have this one as 4 again. So we are just reducing the number of lessons to make sure that our timetable doesn't have collisions. But remember, if you have many teachers in your school, there will be no collision in your timetable. But if you have few teachers and you're trying to overload them, of course the system may not be able to allocate all the subject to those teachers. You should be reasonable as you key in the number of lessons that you handled by particular teachers, for the system to be productive enough, or for it to be able to give you a high quality timetable. So that one is okay. So we can maybe reduce this one a bit, so we can have 4, and then we can also have 4 here, 4, and then we can reduce this one, the agriculture. We can have 4 lessons again in Form 4 class, and I believe that will be a bit okay. Or we can have them to 44. So let me reduce this one. Let me have it as just 4 lessons in a week. And as we proceed, guys, kindly remember to subscribe. Remember to subscribe. I really appreciate having you subscribing to my channel. And then we also reduce that one to 4 lessons in a week. 4 lessons in a week, and then we click OK. Click OK, and we ensure that all that information has been saved. So it is also important to note that you can produce timetables for teachers. For example, the one that we have here, we started by the classes. We have timetables for classes. We have timetables for individual teachers. If you click here, it will take you to the next teacher, all the way. Also, you can produce a timetable for each classroom. For example, this is for laboratory, and you also have the optionals. Remember, we only created these two classrooms in our timetable. Next is a timetable for each subject. You can see the one for mathematics, we have another one for English, we have another one for Kiswahili, and so on. So you can also have a timetable for each classes, for the teachers, individual teachers, summary timetables for the classrooms. And you can also have we have all sorts of options here. You can print as many timetables as possible. And after this, let's now see how this timetable generates the timetables. Your timetables will be ready for printing in terms of PDF. Now try to generate the timetable and see how the timetable will look like. So we're gonna click the new, or generate new, and then you can configure your system to be very strict on what you're doing, on the constraints. So the constraints are here. So we have the draft copy, we have you can allow some relaxation in the production. You can make the system to be strict, or to produce the exact number of lessons that you've set in your settings. And now you can also choose what you want to generate here, what you want the system to generate for you. So I'm going to click, assuming that everything is okay, I'm going to click start timetable generation. for this is just for illustration purposes. I'm sure you have already understood the most critical parts that are there in this timetable, and you can as well be able to generate timetable